Hi everyone, for today's lesson we're going to focus on one of the most important concepts with SQL, which is SQL joins. So what is a join? A join clause is used to combine rows from two or more tables based on a related column between them. And this is information from Microsoft's SQL Server page. By using joins, you can retrieve data from two or more tables based on a logical relationship between the tables. So as I mentioned above, it's usually finding out the column that they have in common or is the same. Think of it like student ID, or for our tables, customer ID is going to be referenced throughout some tables. So joins indicate how SQL Server should use data from one table to select rows in another table. So the most common join is the inner join. As you can see, the syntax: select asterisk from table A, inner join table B, and then you use the on table dot name, which will be our column that we're associating our relationship, equals table B dot name, which this two what name is the column that both tables will have in common. And as you can see the diagram, what we're gonna get all the rows where they match, and that's all the results we're gonna be viewing. And then a left join, what this is whatever, as you can see from our statement. So where it says from table A, left join whatever tables to the left, that's gonna be our table that is considered our left table. So we're getting all the results from the inner join plus all the results in table A. And what you're gonna usually see is null values, because um, they should have correspond with table B, and that's what it means, that since those values don't exist in table B, that's why we're seeing them as null. So right join is pretty much the same as a left join, it's just the opposite. As you can see over here in our statement, when we say right join table B, that's why it's highlighted blue, because we're gonna get all the results from the inner join plus all the rows from table B as well, and whatever doesn't match in table A will be null. And lastly, the other one is the full outer join. So this one, it combines basically all the three joins together. You get, you get your result set from inner join plus the left join and the right join together. So you get pretty much everything. And honestly, I haven't come across where I've used this. There may be situations where you probably use it. Sometimes you use it to troubleshoot like a store procedure. But now let's take a look at how to use them in SQL Server with our tables that we have. Hi everyone, so let's go over into our stored database, and if you need the tables, the customer and orders table, feel free to review the previous videos. So let's start a new query and do a select from both tables, so that way we can find a column that we have in common. So as you can see, the column that both tables have in common is the customer order ID. The customer ID column is the one that they have in column. So over here in our customer table is the actual customer information, but on the orders table, each customer ID represents the order that they have placed. So order ID 1, 2, and 3, and 4 belong to customer ID 1. So let's start writing that inner join. So when you do a join, I recommend renaming the table. So for customers, let's name it C. So you say inner join orders and rename it O. On C dot customer ID equals that O dot customer ID. So let's run this, and we don't need this anymore. So as you can see now, this is our inner join. So it returns back all the information. So it starts out with a table with all the rows from the first table, so from customer table, and then it returns all the records from the orders table following up over here. So that's why you see the customer ID here and here. So it's basically, this is where table 1 ends and this is where table 2 begins. So now one way to see this is you know, customer ID 1 has placed 4 orders. So let's use the count. So this is how you write the count statement. So what we want to do is use the filter clause and filter it by c.customer ID 1. And over here you need to specify from which table whenever you have two columns that are the same. So since we have the repeating column, we have to say c.customer ID. You can also write O and it'll be the same. So let's find out. So 4 rows, 4 orders. So now let's change this to O. And it's the same, since as you saw, we're just filtering by the results that we have, but we need to specify this column or else which table, or else we're gonna get an error. So if you ever see this error, that's probably why. So I'll recommend just doing like a select on the full result set. Oh, I mean the top one. And then hopefully you'll find out, oh, it's because, you know, I have 2 customer ID columns in the result set. So now, as I mentioned too, with SQL Server, you don't need the word inner, and notice that you're using, that's what you're trying to return back. It's just an inner join. So as you can see, we get the same information. So now let's try it with that left join. So what a left join did, it returned all the rows of information from the customer. But as you can see over here on the right for customer ID 4, John Cena, is since we cannot see him, if you get it, so what it means is that John Cena hasn't placed an order. That's why all his records are null. And later on I'll go over how we can replace the word null with another value, like say no order has been placed or something like that. But now let's try the right join. So technically right now, since all the orders are from existing customers, we did get all the pretty much all the information from our inner join. So that's what it means. And let's say if we have an like an order ID without a matching customer ID, then what you have is what is called a ghost record, because right now we haven't created that relationship between 2 tables. And we'll do that in the next video too as well, where we're gonna specify what relationship do these 2 tables have together. But right now, know that you can always do an inner join before even creating a relationship with the tables. So now let's change this to a full outer. So the full outer join, as I mentioned in the previous slides, what it did, it returns all the result sets combined, the left join, inner join, and right join. So that's why you see the 10 rows of information again. But let me know if you have any questions. I will appreciate a like. Subscribe as well too. Hopefully I'll keep adding more videos more frequently too as well. And don't feel bad if you're running into errors, delete a record. Remember, this is your own SQL server, so don't be afraid to make mistakes. But let me know if you have any questions, and thank you for watching.